of Fox News, it's The Kelly File with Megyn Kelly.
Well, Donald Trump again dominated the news cycle today as fallout continues from this New York Times report on his past treatment of women. And in less than 24 hours from right now, he will answer some questions about temperament in my first interview with him since the opening GOP debate 9+ months ago. In a special on the Fox broadcast network, it's like Homer Simpson Fox, American Idol Fox. I asked Mr. Trump about the impact of his message, considering his enormous media reach. Watch. But you are so powerful. You are so powerful now.
I don't view myself as that. I mean, I view myself as a person that, like everybody else, is fighting for survival. That's all I view myself as. And I really view myself now as somewhat of a messenger. You know, this is a massive thing that's going on. These are millions and millions of people that have been disenfranchised from this country.
It's true, but they're listening to you, and they're taking their cue from you. So that's the question, is whether now, so close to the Oval Office, whether you will take that responsibility seriously and change your tone to try to be more unifying and less divisive. Joining me now, Donald Trump Jr. He's been campaigning for his dad, and he's the Executive Vice President of Development and Acquisitions at the Trump Organization. Don, thanks so much for being here.
Good to be here. How you doing?
So let's pick up on that point. You know, what I was talking to him about there was the enormous power of the megaphone.
Yes.
And it's only getting bigger for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he's not a reality TV show host now. I mean, he could be the president.
Yes.
Next January. Do you think with that rise comes a greater responsibility to be more careful in your language?
No, I think the rise is largely in part because of the tone, because he's finally saying the things that everyone wants to say, that all these working people in this country, the hardworking blue-collar people in this country who've been left in the dust, the people who don't have an asterisk and don't get special treatment for doing nothing, he's giving them a voice again. I mean, I think that's so important, and that's why the rise is. And
but
trust me, I've seen him.
You know that there are other issues. It's not just Make America Great Again. It's look at Carly Fiorina's face. You know, things like that. And the comment about Mexico sending its rapists. That's the stuff I was talking about. Like,
well, listen, when he says that there's rapists coming across the border, that's a fact. That's not everyone, and he didn't say that it's everyone. But the media has a convenient way of saying this is what he said. And part of the process
How about Fiorina?
That I've seen. You know, he's an aggressive guy. He's a tough guy. When he talks and he gets in a fight, he's going to treat everyone the same way. It's not about women and men. He did the same thing to a Marco. He did the same thing to a Jeb.
So no change.
He's not, you know, I think he'll change. And again, I've seen him be incredibly charismatic. You can't do what he's done with the people that he's done it with all over the world, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different cultures, different countries. He's done this for 40 years, Megyn. He can be as charismatic as anyone. But there also comes a time where you actually have to say enough is enough. You have to put down the hammer. And that's what people like to see, Megyn, that he's finally doing that.
He talks about himself as a counterpuncher. I would submit to you that when a journalist asks you tough questions, it is not counterpunching to go after the press. I'm not talking about me. I'm just talking about in general. It's not counterpunching. We, the press, are the counterpunchers. We are paid to hold the presidential candidates to account.
Yes, and when there's nonsense, and there's a lot of it, I mean, you know, it's a very disingenuous process, and that's what I've seen all along the way, right? I see him give a speech for an hour, and he'll take a sentence from, you know, minute number 1, a sentence from minute number 15, a sentence from minute number 37, and they'll combine it into like one thought and say, he said this. Well, yeah, he said that, but in the context,
yeah, they don't
you can't combine 3 sentences from 4 different parts of the speech and say that was the point of the speech. It doesn't work that way.
Do you feel like they're turning on him? Do you feel like media outlets that were fair in the primary process are now starting to turn, now that he's basically
Well, listen, when you look at the New York Times, I mean, that article, I'm watching this all day. I mean, like, we don't have more important things to do. Like, we don't have to worry about jobs and real security issues and our safety of our kids and our grandkids. You know, it's insane that I'm seeing this. Now, I understand that they're, you know, Hillary Clinton's #1 surrogate. I mean, they're out there doing this stuff every day, and that's their job, and I guess they see it that way. They're no longer the media. But it's ridiculous,
Is it
Megyn.
irritating for you? I mean, you're his son.
Well, listen, I know it because I know the guy. You know, I know the father. I know the grandfather that's playing golf with my 2-year-old daughter, right? I mean, I see that guy, so I see the softer side. I also have the guy that has given women throughout his career opportunities back in the 80s in construction when that was unheard of.
Yep.
You know, he gave them opportunities. Now, if they don't, you know, capitalize on that later on in their lives and they come back 30 years later and say, oh, it was so terrible. I mean, you got to remember,
why is he telling the lady
he gave a chance
you like
to
your
someone.
candy? You know that, in fact, a lot of women sitting at home right now are like, I do not want anybody telling me I like my candy.
You know, this is not a, you know, this
Isn't that irritating?
Totally
Are you like, yeah, and I'm going to eat it?
But you know what? That's what he's a tough guy. He's going to say stuff. He's not always going to sit there and cater to everyone's thoughts. And that's really the point. And again, I think Americans like that. I think they like a guy who can be the leader of this country, who's not going to go bow to the enemies that we have all over the world, the people that treat us like garbage, they'd love to wipe us off the face of the earth. He's not going to bow to them. He's going to call them out. He's going to say what he's actually thinking and not pretend that there's not really an issue and stick your head in the sand and just there's nothing going on, don't worry, everything's fine here, and wait 8 years and not get anything done. He's going to be the guy that answers the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's going to say, take action. He's going to do something. I think we need that for a change because it's not happening right now.
I like how it's you got the same gestures as he does. Right? Doesn't he?
I can't help it. It's a
you
genetic
remind me
thing,
of him. I think it is.
No,
That's right.
Honestly, he's a passionate guy. He loves this country. He loves what this country's been able to do for him, both from a family perspective, from a business perspective, from an opportunities perspective. And he wants to make sure that's available for everyone else because no one else is getting that chance anymore.
Donald Trump Jr., great to see you.
Thanks, Megyn.
All the best to you and your family.
Likewise.